Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube. It is Adam here with The Highest Return. Find me at thehighestreturn.com. Subscribe for my free newsletter. There will be no more advertisements or self-promotions for the rest of the video. So, I'd like to talk about Biden's $15,000 homebuyer credit and what kind of effects it will have and what the alternatives could have been. So, the plan is to give $15,000, ignore the typo, for first-time home buyers in the United States. It's a refundable tax credit, and it's also advanceable, which I think means that you'll probably be able to claim it ahead of tax season to get your money back from buying the house. And caveat, like the very important thing here is for first-time home buyers. So if you already bought a house, then this will not apply to you. So what are the alternatives of doing this? And I think the reason why this is even happening is to get people that traditionally are not homeowners out of the rent cycle to actually start building wealth. And it's also sort of basically a tax on the older folks to the younger folks, because ultimately any tax, any credits that go to the younger folks have to come from somewhere else. And it's probably the older folks who already have homes. Also, it's a tax on people that have already bought homes. So you might be young and have already purchased a home, but if you didn't purchase it, this year or whenever it's going to be effective from, then you're out of luck, like me. So the alternatives are doing nothing, which is, always an option. The government doesn't always have to get involved. Other alternative is more stimulus, more money directly in people's pockets. The issue with doing that is you can't really tell or force people to spend money certain ways. So a lot of that money might go to frivolous activities or speculation that could just not pan out. Of course, a lot of it is going to come back into the American economy, like through people purchasing vehicles and things of that nature, but a lot of it might not, and a lot of it might just be wasted. More public housing projects. So public housing projects typically are for lower income folks, and there are a lot of, I guess there's a lot of positives and a lot of negatives regarding that. Basically, from a state level, it sometimes is completely legitimate to do. From the federal level, some would argue that the federal mandate doesn't dictate that they should be building homes for people, because it doesn't really fall within the scope of the federal government's responsibilities. Either way, a lot of people would probably not be super happy building public housing projects in their communities because it may drive up crime. Lastly, another alternative is to give incentives to builders directly. So builders have some sort of incentive to build more homes to increase supply more quickly. This may help offset the building costs, like the outrageous lumber prices that we're seeing. But the problem with doing this is a lot of those builders will probably just waste government money. It's not unheard of to see that companies that receive money directly from the government don't actually spend it to do what the government wanted them to do. And you could refer back to the bank bailouts, or even to the PPP potentially that was done recently. So it's not a very politically friendly thing to do at this point. It's better, more appetizing to taxpayers to get money directly. So why does the credit make more sense? Well, it keeps the values of the properties up. So property values being higher are beneficial to the government in multiple ways. First is taxes, obviously. So if we were to, or if Biden's government were to build more and increase the supply without putting more money into the system, prices would fall. Because of the supply-demand curve, prices would definitely fall if you increased supply. There are many problems with that, but one of them is taxes. You'll get less taxes because if people sell their houses, they'll be paying less capital gains tax. Yes, there are exceptions to the capital gains, but for the most part, I mean, they will be paying more taxes as long as the values go up. And this may push prices over the edge for some people to actually just sell early. Maybe they have investments. They'll be releasing those investments to actually go to the people who will be living in the home. And I think this is what the government sort of wants. The other spectrum of taxes that needs to be considered are local taxes. That is state and basically county taxes that are used to pay for example, education. If the property values go down, that means the tax assessments go down. If the assessments go down, that means the property taxes go down, which is not good for the local jurisdictions. And finally, everyone else's financial stability. So having a high value home that you live in gives you the flexibility to actually take a HELOC or a equity line of credit on the house, and then that basically lets you spend more money and put it into the economy. If everybody's house value went down, then they'd have less money to borrow, which means less money to spend. And people in their later years actually sometimes do reverse mortgages where they actually get paid until they pass away. And the end result of that is the bank takes the house once they pass away. So basically, it basically, is not good to have the housing prices go down quickly. That being said, there's been a huge bubble, but I think that's the gist of why the plan is a credit and not an increase to supply, because I'm sure the Biden administration does not want to be blamed for basically crashing the housing market. And that is all of the reasons why I think the $15,000 credit is the way that Biden will be doing this. It hasn't been passed in Congress yet, so we have no idea what's actually going to happen. Could go through some changes. Hopefully, well, it really depends on what situation you're in right now. If you've never bought a house, then this would be a great thing, a great opportunity to take. If you already have a few houses, it may be an opportunity to sell if housing prices go up even further. But as for me, I'll be holding and just collecting rent because that's what I do. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of previous investors who have sold early regret that decision. So, it's been Adam with the Highest Return. Hope you all have a great evening.